radio station.
My opportunity in respiratory therapy began at Lakeland, and now I'm your respiratory therapist.
My dream career began in the Adult Accelerated Program at Lakeland. Now, I'm a financial analyst.
My career in special education started here at Lakeland, and today I counsel adults with special needs in our community.
Find your dream career. It starts at Lakeland.
Lakeland Community College.
Opportunity starts here.
Visit lakelandcc.edu.
We live in a disposable society. Yes. It's easier to throw things out than to fix them. We even give it a name. We call it recycling.
Come watch the Lakeland basketball teams on November 17th as they play Mercyhurst Northeast at Lakeland Community College. The women start at 5:30 p.m. and the men start at 7:30 p.m. If you would like to listen, you can go to www.livestream.com/Lakeland's Lake Effect Radio.
Be sure to watch us live on www.livestream.com/Lake Effect.
Come watch the Lady Lakers volleyball team as they play Cuyahoga Community College at Lakeland Community College on October 28th. Game starts at 6 p.m. If you would like to listen, you can go to www.livestream.com/Lakeland's Lake Effect Radio.
Are you a single mom? If you are, there's a program called SMART, or Single Mothers Achieving Real Triumph. SMART is a support, networking, and scholarship program which helps single mothers achieve academic success. The requirements: you must participate and be a new student either in your first or second semester in college, have demonstrated financial need, or attend colleges on Tuesdays and Thursdays, at least 6 credits, and you must be available to attend workshops. Students must be enrolled in English 0111 or English 1111 to participate. This is an on-campus daytime program, and some of the program benefits are: you can gain access to resources which are available to students that you might not otherwise know about, acquire skills to help you interact effectively with instructors and college personnel, and meet weekly for support and networking. If you're interested in this program, give a call to the Women's Center at Lakeland Community College at 440-525-7322 or email vwilliams@lakelandcc.edu.
This is Lake Effect Radio. Good morning. This is Lake Effect Radio, and now here, the news at 10 on Lake Effect Radio. Iran is to be represented at an international summit on the Syrian conflict for the first time on Friday. Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif and 3 of his deputies will attend a multilateral talks in Vienna, Austria, that seek to resolve the conflict in Syria, according to Iranian Foreign Ministry. Iran is the main regional backer of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, a man and other participants, notably the United States, says can no longer play a part in Syria's future. Egypt, Iraq, Lebanon, the European Union, and France also say they would attend the talks on Friday, which come a week after a smaller round of negotiations between the United States, Russia, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey. Those 4 parties are engaged in a round of talks tomorrow before the expanded meeting takes place on Friday. About a dozen participants are expected in total. It was not clear if any invitations have been issued to either the Syrian government or the opposition, though neither side was present at the last talks in Vienna. Iran said it has sent, quote, military advisors to bolster Mr. Assad's forces, while Russia last month began carrying out airstrikes in support of the government. Iran and Russia say they are fighting Islamic State militants, but other rebel groups say they've also been targeted. The Syrian National Coalition, a political opposition group based in Turkey and supported by Western powers, says Iran's participation in the talks would undermine the political process. Iran says it supports a political solution in Syria, but says Mr. Assad should be part of the process. Opposition groups and the regional backers, including Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Turkey, say Mr. Assad must leave power as a precondition for peace. Earlier, U.S. Defense Secretary Ashton Carter said the United States will ramp up attacks on jihadists from the so-called Islamic State in Syria and Iraq, with additional airstrikes and even direct ground action. Testifying before the Senate Armed Services Committee, Mr. Carter says he expects more actions like the one last week that freed dozens of captives but left an American commando dead in Iraq. Quote, We won't hold back from supporting capable partners in opportunistic attacks against ISIL or conducting such missions directly, whether by strikes from the air or direct action on the ground, Mr. Carter said, using an alternative name for the Islamic State. He did not elaborate on what he meant by direct action on the ground, and the Obama administration opposes committing U.S. ground forces to Syria. Mr. Carter said the United States would focus its efforts on the IS strongholds of Raqqa in northern Syria and boost support for rebel groups fighting the jihadists. Quote, "We expect to intensify our air campaign, including with additional U.S. and coalition aircraft, to target ISIL with a higher and heavier rate of strikes," Mr. Carter said. The further quote, "This will include more strikes into ISIL high-value targets as our intelligence improves," he added. Mr. Carter's pledge to intensify strikes comes as the U.S.-led coalition has in fact been striking fewer targets in Syria in recent months. Pentagon officials insist the diminished tempo reflects a lack of decent targets and has nothing to do with Russia launching its own bombing campaign a month ago. Rescuers are underway to deliver relief aid to victims of a massive earthquake that hit northern Afghanistan and Pakistan, killing at least 300 people over a wide swath of mostly mountainous terrain. Authorities reported 241 deaths in Pakistan, while in Afghanistan, officials have confirmed the death toll has climbed to around 115. The Afghan death toll includes 12 schoolgirls trampled to death in a stampede as they fled their classrooms in the Takhar province when the quake hit. Reports suggest many as 2,000 people have been injured. Roads and communications were cut off to many areas at the epicenter of the earthquake, and authorities and international relief organizations were still trying to assess the extent of damage. Thousands spent the night outdoors in near freezing temperatures, were reluctant to go back inside for fear of aftershocks, Pakistani media reported. Quote, "Rescue work is ongoing, and tents, blankets, and sleeping mats are being provided," Latif Rahman, a Pakistani disaster management official, told Reuters from the northwest city of Peshawar. Pakistan's military and civilian authorities dispatched several helicopters to affected areas to assess damage and begin rescue operations, National Disaster Management Authority said. Landslides in mountainous northern Pakistan over the weekend, caused by heavy rain and snow, had already left thousands stranded. The earthquake struck at about almost exactly 6 months after Nepal suffered its worst quake record on April 25th, including the toll from a major aftershock in May. 9,000 people died in Nepal, and 900,000 homes were damaged or destroyed. In Afghanistan, where rescue and relief work is likely to be complicated by security threats created by an escalating Taliban insurgency, more than 50 people were reported dead in several provinces, including Badakhshan, where hundreds were killed by mudslides last year. The Taliban has urged charities not to hold back in delivering aid to Afghan victims of a devastating earthquake, saying militants in the affected areas were ordered to provide, quote, complete help. Rescuers are battling access to some of the worst affected areas across multiple provinces and are effectively under militant control, a huge challenge to any official aid efforts. But the Taliban today has promised to have pave access for aid organizations. Quote, "The Taliban calls on charitable organizations to not hold back in providing shelter, food, and medical supplies to the victims of this earthquake," the group said on its website. Further quote, "It similarly orders Mujahideen in the affected areas to lend their complete help to victims and to facilitate those giving charity to the needy." Afghan disaster management officials have said the areas around the quake's epicenter in the remote province of Badakhshan, as well as neighboring provinces such as Takhar and Kunar, have suffered huge devastation. Afghanistan's chief executive, Abdullah, said an initial assessment shows about 4,000 houses have been damaged by the powerful quake. Quote, "Some 76 people, including women and children, were killed, and 286 others were injured in the quake," he said, warning that the toll was expected to rise. The quake was centered near Jurm in northwest Afghanistan, 250 kilometers from the capital Kabul, and at a depth of 213.5 kilometers, the United States Geological Survey said. The tremor, which lasted 1 minute, shook buildings in Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India, sending thousands of frightened people rushing into the streets. The initial magnitude 7.5 quake on yesterday afternoon was followed by several 7 aftershocks, measuring as high magnitude as 4.8. Sorry, I just need to check the date line there. This was filed yesterday at 10:55 GMT. So that would have been an aftershock Monday night. The latest aftershock came just before yesterday morning. The United States and Iran were among countries that offered to provide humanitarian assistance to Afghanistan, which already depends heavily on foreign aid after decades of war that have wrecked its economy and infrastructure. Dr. John Ebel, chairman of the Department of Earth and Environmental Sciences at Boston College in the United States, said the depth of the earthquake had limited its severity and meant damage was likely to be spread broadly rather than focused in one disaster zone. He added that landslides on the unstable slopes of the mountainous region could pose a major problem. Quote, obviously, if a landslide comes to a village, it will take out buildings, but landslides can also take out roads and communication and power systems, so you lose the ability to access remote areas, he said. In Washington, White House spokesman Josh Earnest said the United States Agency for International Development was ready to provide emergency shelter and relief supply kits. Backstanding Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif in London, en route from an official visit to the U.S., said he would personally oversee the rescue efforts. We will try our best to deal with this disaster using our own resources, he said. Elections in Tanzania's semi-autonomous archipelago of Zanzibar have been annulled for not being free and fair, the chairman of the island's electoral commission has announced. Jekka said youth had invaded polling stations, youth votes had been tampered with, and electoral commissioners had exchanged blows. The majority criticisms were leveled on the vote on Pemba Island. Zanzibaris voted in local and national elections last Sunday. The elections in Tanzania are the most competitive in the country's history, with 4 opposition parties forming the Ukawa coalition. Previous elections turned violent in Zanzibar, which is made up of the islands of Unguja and Pemba and is popular with tourists. A British Broadcasting Corporation correspondent in Zanzibar says tensions have been rising on the islands over the last few days, but so far there has been no violence. There's been a heavy security presence and some streets have been closed, he added. Officials stopped announcing results yesterday after soldiers stormed the Electoral Commission compound in Zanzibar and locked people inside for more than 3 hours. On Monday, Ukawa candidate Seif Sharif Hamad declared himself the winner of the Zanzibari presidential poll. This attracted a sharp rebuke from the ruling CCM party officials, who said the declaration was illegal and risked the island's stability, the correspondent says. In his statement, Mr. Jekka accused electoral commissioners from being partisan. He said they did not know each other and their many differences had led to physical fights. It is unclear if and when new elections will be held. The United States Justice Department is looking into why a female pupil in South Carolina was pulled from her desk by an officer and dragged across a classroom. Spokeswoman Dina Iverson said the investigation would look into, quote, the circumstances surrounding the arrest to see if federal law was broken. The incident occurred at Spring Valley High School in Columbia, where an unnamed pupil refused to leave class. Video shows the officer knocking her down and pulling her across the floor. The officer, Ben Fields, has been placed on leave, and there's been an outcry from various civil rights and parents groups. Richland County Sheriff Leon Lott told a news conference that in one video the girl could be seen trying to hit the officer as she was being pulled to the floor. However, he said an investigation would focus on the officer's actions. Quote, I think sometimes our officers are put in uncomfortable situations when a teacher can't control a student, he added. The FBI, which will carry out the probe, said in a statement it would, quote, collect all available facts and evidence. Tony Robinson, another pupil who recorded video, told local media that the altercation began when the girl took her mobile phone out during class and would not put it away when asked. School administration then summoned an officer who asked the girl, who was African American, to move. She replied that she had done nothing wrong, then Mr. Fields grabbed her. Quote, when I saw that what was going to happen, my immediate first instinct was, let me get this on camera. There's no justifiable reason for him as to why he did that to that girl, Mr. Robinson said. Mr. Fields has been assigned to the school and was meant to protect pupils and teachers. The ACLU said such quote, egregious use of force against young people in class was, quote, outrageous. South Carolina's education superintendent expressed concern, and the state's national NAACP chapter has said the officer should be charged. The incident comes at a time of increased scrutiny of the police and their use of force against African Americans. One group, the Richard Black Parents Association, said the video, quote, revealed what many African American parents had experienced in this district for a very long time. Most passengers in a whale-watching boat which sank off Canada were standing on the vessel's left side when a wave hit it from the right, affecting its stability, investigators say. It comes as more details emerge about the 5 British Britons who died when the Leviathan II sank near Tofino on Sunday. An Australian man is missing. Canadian investigators said the vessel tilted and then capsized. Passengers were not required to wear life jackets, but they were available. The Transportation Safety Board Canada, or TSB, said an examination of the vessel would begin on Wednesday to, quote, understand its condition at the time of the accident. Tributes have been paid to David Thomas, 50, and his son Stephen, 17, from Swindon, who were among the dead. Stephen's mother, Julia, was rescued. Nigel Hooker, 63, from Southampton, Salford-born Jack Slater, 76, who had lived in Canada for many years, and Katie Taylor, who was living in Whistler, British Columbia, also died. Marc-Andre Poussin, director of the Marine Investigations for the TSB, told a news conference the position of most people on one side of the boat would have, quote, raised the center of gravity, unquote, and affected boat stability. Quote, we also know that the sea conditions were such that a wave approached from the starboard quarter, that's right of the vessel, he added. Quote, we know that the vessel broached and then capsized. I imagine if you're a mariner, you know what he's talking about. The TSB said its examination of the vessel would review, quote, stability information at the time of its construction, and examination of any modifications have been made since its initial construction that may have affected its stability. The 5 people who died had been on the open upper deck of the boat, but were not wearing life jackets, Regional Coordinator Matt Brown told a news conference. Current regulations do not require passengers to wear life jackets in that area or on that particular type of boat, he said. The other passengers were all in an enclosed part of the boat. Officials have said more of the 27 people on board could have died had it not been for the, quote, amazing response from locals around Tofino. Bosses at Jamie's Whaling Station and Adventure Center, which owned the boat, have said the incident happened so quickly that the crew did not have a chance to send a Mayday alert. They said the skipper had more than 20 years whale watching experience and had completed 18 years with that company. Company owner Jamie Bray said passengers on the boat were not required to wear life jackets as it had enclosed compartments, which would have been difficult to exit in the event of a sinking. Another whale-watching boat operated by the same company capsized back in '98, which killed 2 people, including the captain and a tourist from Germany. Australian Associated Press reported that the missing 27-year-old Sydney man was on the boat with his girlfriend and her family when it sank. British Foreign Secretary Philip Hammond said his thoughts were with the family and friends of those affected by Sunday's incident. Canadian Prime Minister-designate Justin Trudeau said he was, quote, shocked and saddened by the deaths. And right before the break, there's some information about, well, the victims. David Thomas had worked for technology giant Microsoft, which said it was, quote, shocked and saddened by his passing. His son Stephen was described by the Down Syndrome Association as, quote, a very talented young man and a gifted photographer. Nigel Hooker had been visiting Canada from Southampton. He worked for Airbus Defence and Space as a program assurance manager in Portsmouth. They said he was, quote, a well-respected and popular colleague and will be greatly missed by everyone he worked with. Jack Slater was born in Salford but lived in Canada for more than 30 years. His daughter, Michelle Slater Brown, said he was, quote, larger than life, a charmer, handsome, entrepreneur, and a, quote, lovely dad. Katie Taylor was also an expatriate and was originally from Lichfield in Staffordshire, but lived in the ski resort of Whistler. She was described as a, quote, vibrant, outgoing, and lovely young woman by her family. And we will return after the break. This is Lake Effect Radio.
You're listening to Lake Effect Radio, the official broadcaster.
Rarely see Steph Curry hesitant to shoot the ball. Wild shot from Donovan. It goes in. 7 to shoot. James backs in against Barnes. Quick spin and an easy finish. James on the flush. But Mike, a great play. J.R. Smith. Fall-away jumper is good. Johnson on Smith. Smith trying to get it going, spins, almost lost it, finds Mozgov.
Imagine the opportunity to be the first in your family to earn a degree. Gain knowledge that changes your life forever. Learn with faculty who share a common goal, your success. Experience Lakeland Community College. Apply your skills to make a difference every day. A Lakeland education is accessible and affordable. Credits easily transferred. Lakeland Community College. Opportunity starts here.
Join us for tons of fun in our annual Halloween party sponsored by Campus Activities Board on Thursday, October 29th in the main gym in the Y Building. Our times are 6 to 8 p.m. for our kids party and 9 to 11 p.m. for our student/adult party. There will be free food, inflatables, a DJ, henna tattoo artists, and much, much more. This party is open to the community and is free.
There will be a first-year experience annotated bibliography help session on Monday, November 16th from 12:30 to 1:15 p.m. in the Library Instruction Room C3051H on the third floor of the C building. Are you taking first-year experience 1000? Do you need some extra help with your annotated bibliography assignment? Drop in any time between 12:30 and 1:15 for some personalized help from a librarian. This is a free workshop. Space is limited. Register today. Go to My Lakeland in the Student tab, schedule it, and call Success Workshops. For additional information, please call 440-525-7425.
Be sure to watch us live on www.livestream.com/LakeFest.
This one empty bottle is way too heavy to take to the recycle can right outside my classroom.
Think spring. The trees may be turning fall colors and the holidays are around the corner. But at Lakeland, it's time to start thinking about spring semester. Spring 2016 registration starts November 2nd, so take the time to look at what classes you need for next semester. When you register early, you can enjoy your holiday break knowing that you're all set for school in January. Plus, you are more likely to get the classes you need at the times you want. Classes begin January 16th, so plan ahead and beat the rush.
Hey guys, check us out at www.youtube.com/user/Lake Effect Radio Station/feed for past shows and interview videos.
Hey Lakeland students, pick up the latest issue of the Lakelander student newspaper to stay up to date with what's happening around campus. The Lakelander will keep you informed and entertained with all the latest campus news, music, reviews, political commentary, and everything in between.
Come watch the Lakeland basketball teams as they face Genesee at Lakeland Community College on December 16th. The women start at 5:30 and the men start at 7:30. If you would like to listen, you can go to www.livestream.com/Lakeland's Lake Effect Radio.
Hey, what's up? It's BG from A Brilliant Night. Like us at facebook.com/A Brilliant Night Rocks. And you're listening to the one, the only, the epic Lake Effect Radio.
And this is Lake Effect Radio with more news at 10 o'clock. Turkish police have stormed the headquarters of a media group linked to U.S.-based Islamic cleric Fethullah Gulen days before the country's election. Officials used chainsaws to smash through the gates of the media compound, according to footage broadcast live on television. Mr. Gulen, the spiritual leader of the Hizmet movement, is a rival of President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. The raid prompted concerns over media freedom ahead of Sunday's vote. No shit, Sherlock. Sorry. The editor-in-chief of Bugün TV, Police moved in on the Koza İpek Media Group's Istanbul headquarters following a court order ruling for its seizure, firing tear gas and water cannon to disperse protesters outside the offices. The editor-in-chief of Bugün TV, one of the group's television channels, spoke to viewers moments before the raid, saying, quote, "Do not be surprised if you see police in our studio in the next few minutes." Sorry. Quote, this is an operation to silence the dissident voices that the ruling party does not like, including media outlets, opposition parties, and businessmen. This is true for anyone who does not obey. An NACRA court ordered the seizure of Copa Apex companies on Monday as part of a long-standing crackdown on Mr. Gulen's allies. Wednesday's raid was linked to an investigation into the group on suspicion of, quote, terror financing and, quote, terror propaganda, is NACRA's chief prosecutor office said in a statement. After the company, naturally, denies any wrongdoing. I don't know whether it's true or not. I'm guessing it is, but hey. After inconclusive parliamentary elections in June, Turkey's once again going to the polls on November 1st. European Parliament President Martin Schulz tweeted that he was, quote, deeply concerned about the raid, adding, quote, free media is a cornerstone of vibrant democracies. U.S. State Department spokesman John Kirby said, quote, we continue to urge Turkish authorities to ensure that their actions uphold universal democratic values, including due process, freedom of expression and assembly, and of course access to media and information. The raid was the latest in the operation to crack down on followers of Mr. Gulen that have been underway since December 2013, when corruption allegations against allies of Mr. Erdogan emerged. The president said it was a plot orchestration by Mr. Gulen's supporters to topple him. Why do I have the sinking feeling that I don't believe him? Erdogan not. Well, I don't know about Gulen either. Speaking of which, he denied this, and he has lived in self-imposed exile in the United States since 1999. Also more insanity in Turkey. Turkish Prime Minister Ahmet Davutoglu, or I'm just going to call him Prime Minister Glue because I don't like him. That's me. Has confirmed that Turkish military has attacked Kurdish fighters in northern Syria, I should say. The Kurdish People's Protection Units, YPG, said Turkey had shot at its forces in the town of Tal Abyad on Sunday. The YPG has been a key ally of the U.S. in fighting the so-called Islamic State group in Syria. Turkey fears advances by the YPG near its Syrian border could fuel separatist sentiments amongst Kurds in Turkey. The attack comes amid increasing tensions in Turkey ahead of elections. We said the YPG-aligned Democratic Union Party, PYD will not go west of the Euphrates, and that we would hit the moment it did, Mr. Gluz told Turkish ATV television late Monday. He gave no further details. It is not the first time the YPG has said Turkey has attacked them. In July, they said Turkey has shelled them near the Kurdish-held village Ozomikar, which Turkey has denied. In a separate incident, Turkey has confirmed detaining 30 IS militants during a dawn raid on Tuesday. Police conducted simultaneous operations against IS cells in the central Anatolian city of Konya and the nearby town of Kumra, the Dogan news agency reported. Comes a day after a deadly shootout with suspected IS militants in the city of Diyarbakir on Monday, which left 2 police officers and 7 militants dead. Another 5 officials were injured and 12 militants detained, Deputy Prime Minister Numan Kurtulmus said. AFP news agency said this was the first clash with IS militants on Turkish soil since Turkey launched airstrikes on IS targets in Syria in July. Turkey has stepped up its operation against IS since the group was blamed for twin blasts that killed more than 100 people in Ankara this month. Tensions are running high in Turkey just 5 days ahead of general elections. The double bombing in Ankara, targeting a Kurdish peace rally, was the country's most deadly and came amid an upsurge of fighting between Turkish forces and Kurdistan Workers' Party, or PKK, rebels. Prime Minister Gül said the bombings were an attempt to influence the November 1st elections. Many of the victims were activists for the pro-Kurdish HDP party, which believes its delegation at the rally was specifically targeted. Volkswagen has reported its first quarterly loss in at least 15 years after taking a big charge to cover the cost of its emissions scandals. VW admitted installing software into cheat emissions tests in 11 million of its diesel cars worldwide in September. VW said it set aside 6.7 billion euros, or $7.4 billion, to cover the scandal, leaving it with a 2.52 billion pre-tax loss for the third quarter of the year. Despite the scandal, the company still expects sales to grow this year. However, VW said it expected profits for the full year to be, quote, down slightly. The 6.7 billion euro charge is likely to be the first of a raft of costs that the company has to face. The chief financial officer, Frank Witter, said, quote, "No penalties or fines or compensation to customers have been included in the charge." Quote, "The financial burden is enormous, but manageable. We will emerge stronger and leaner than ever before." VW says the legal costs of the scandal, quote, "cannot be estimated at the current time." But it added, quote, "Considerable financial charges may be incurred as legal risks crystallize." In its quarterly report, it outlined the types of litigation it expects to face: criminal and civil charges from national regulatory authorities, class action or individual civil lawsuits from customers, and class action or individual civil lawsuits from investors. In the 3 months to the end of September, vehicle sales fell 7.3% and production fell 11.6% compared with the same period last year. However, VW said it was still forecasting a rise of up to 4% in its sales revenue for the whole of the year. Commenting on the latest results, Matthias Müller, VW's chief executive and chairman of the board of management, said, quote, "The figures show the core strength of the Volkswagen Group on the one hand, while on the other hand, the initial impact of the current situation is becoming clear. We will do everything in our power to win back that trust we have lost." Meanwhile, the group has started retrenching and announced earlier this month it would reduce its research and development budget. In its past 3 months, it has reduced R&D by more than 1 billion euros. VW's shares have fallen some 25% since September, when the United States EPA found many VW diesel cars being sold in the United States being sold in America had devices that could detect when they were being tested and artificially improve the results. The group's chief executive, Martin Winkelhorn, said his company had, quote, "broken the trust of our customers in the Republic," and resigned. He was replaced by Mr. Mueller, the former boss of Porsche. Volkswagen shares rose 3.2% after publication of Wednesday's results and were the best performing stock in the German DAX 30 index in the first hour of trading. This is not the end of the show, but we will have the weather now. And now, your weather information for Kirtland, Ohio. First, urgent weather message from the National Weather Service in Cleveland, Ohio, issued 3:46 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Wednesday, October 28, 2015. Damaging winds possible today. Low pressure over Illinois will undergo rapid deepening today as it interacts with an upper-level disturbance. Strong south to southeast winds will develop towards sunrise and continue towards early afternoon. Wind speeds will be enhanced by the downward sloping terrain in Erie County, Pennsylvania. The strongest winds are expected along and north of Interstate 90. Lake, Ashtabula Inland, Ashtabula Lakeshore, southern Erie, including the cities of Mentor, Jefferson, Ashtabula, Edinboro. Wind advisory remains in effect until 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time this afternoon. Timing. Strong winds will develop towards sunrise and continue into early Wednesday afternoon. Highest gusts are expected Wednesday morning. Winds. Sustained south to southeast winds will increase to 20 to 30 miles per hour early this morning. Wind gusts of 40 to 50 miles per hour are also likely. Strongest winds are expected to be near Lake Erie. Impacts. Trees may be downed and limbs broken. Strong winds can make travel difficult, especially for high-profile vehicles traveling east to west oriented high roadways. Precautionary and preparedness actions. A wind advisory is issued when sustained winds are forecast to be 31 to 39 miles per hour, or gusts will range between 46 and 57 miles per hour. Winds of these magnitudes may cause minor property damage without extra precautions. Motorists in high-profile vehicles should use caution until winds subside. And now, a general hazardous weather outlook issued by National Weather Service, Cleveland, Ohio, 5:22 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Wednesday, October 28, 2015. In effect for Lake, Ashtabula Inland, Ashtabula Lakeshore, and southern Erie counties. Wind advisory in effect until 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time this afternoon. This hazardous weather outlook is for Northeast Ohio and Northwest Pennsylvania. Day 1, today and tonight. Please listen to NOAA Weather Radio or go to weather.gov on the internet for more information about the following hazards. Wind advisory. Rain will continue today with storm total precipitation of 1 to 2 inches possible by this afternoon. Days 2 through 7, Thursday through Tuesday. A strong cold front will cross the area Wednesday night. Westerly winds behind the front could gust to 35 to 45 miles per hour on Thursday. The strongest winds will be focused along the lakeshore. Some areas may need a wind advisory. And now the weather forecast for Kirtland, Ohio for the next several days. Today, rain before noon, then rain and possible thunderstorms between noon and 2 p.m., then showers and possible thunderstorms after 2. High 64. Windy, southeast 18 to 26 miles per hour. Precipitation chance 100%. New rainfall amounts between 1/2 and 3/4 of an inch. Tonight, showers likely, mainly after 4. Cloudy, low 49. Southwest 14 to 18 miles per hour. Precipitation chance 60%. New precipitation amounts between 1/10 and 1/4 of an inch. Thursday, partly sunny, high 52. Breezy, southwest around 22 miles per hour, gusts up to 34 miles per hour. Thursday night, chance of showers, cloudy, low 44. West, 16 to 18 miles per hour, gusts up to 29 miles per hour. Precipitation chance 40%. New precipitation amounts of less than 1/10 of an inch. Friday, a slight chance of showers, mostly cloudy, high 50. Northwest, 9 to 13 miles per hour. Precipitation chance 20%. Now, with weather taken out of the way for you people who need it before you get to class, we can return to the news. And what a mess it is, as always is. Slovenia has threatened to erect a fence along its border with Croatia if an EU plan agreed on Sunday is not implemented. Some 85,000 refugees have been poured into the tiny nation in the last 10 days after Hungary closed its Croatia border. To Hungary's north, Austria has also been beefing up barriers in its border crossings to control large crowds. The approach of winter so far has done little to slow the flow. The United Nations estimates more than 700,000 migrants have crossed to Europe by boat so far this year, mainly from war-ravaged Syria. Most have been making their way to northern Europe. Some transit countries have been seeking to limit the influx, leading to bottlenecks and tensions with neighbors. On Tuesday, European Council President Donald Tusk warned that the crisis could create, quote, tectonic changes in the European political landscape and, quote, not changes for the better. On Sunday, 11 EU states and 3 non-EU countries agreed to set up reception centers with another 50,000 spaces in Balkan countries and send 400 guards to assist Slovenia within a week. But EU members have previously been slow to deliver on pledges of such assistance. European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker complained on Wednesday that fewer than half of the 775 border guards pledged to the Frontex border agency over the past month have been provided. He also said that promises of financial support had not been kept. Slovenia's cautioned that, should help not be forthcoming, it too could build a fence along its border with Croatia. Quote, if the situation worsens and the Brussels action plan is not fulfilled, then Slovenia has several scenarios prepared, including the installation of a fence guarded by forces, said Slovenian Foreign Minister Karel Ijavic. Hungary has already fenced off its border with Serbia and Croatia, so such a move would, in theory, mean sealing off completely the migrants' route through the Balkans. Slovenia has also raised the possibility of invoking a, quote, solidarity clause in the EU treaties which applies to countries experiencing disasters, reported the Financial Times, citing 2 unnamed officials familiar with the talks. The clause, which has not been used before, allows a country to request EU aid and military support. The threat to invoke it caused alarm amongst EU officials, the Financial Times reported, prompting the pledge of border guards. Further north, Austrian Interior Minister Johanna Mikl-Leitner said there are plans to beef up barriers and build a fence at the border crossing points from Slovenia. She stressed it was, quote, not about closing a border, but about dealing with pressure from large disorderly clouds pushing to cross the border. This is about, quote, this is about ensuring an orderly, controlled entry in our country, not about shutting down the border. That article is published by the BBC, who has a note on their terminology. The British Broadcasting Corporation uses the term migrant to refer to all people on the move who have yet to complete the legal process of claiming asylum. This group includes people fleeing war-torn countries such as Syria, who are likely to be granted refugee status, as well as people who are seeking jobs and better lives, who governments are likely to rule are economic migrants. 2 right-wing MEPs have been suspended from the European Parliament for making Nazi salutes during sessions. Polish MEP Janusz Korwin-Mikke has made the gesture in July as he spoke against the influx of migrants in the EU. Polish MEP. Polish MEP. What the fuck? Exactly. Thank you, John. In October, Italian MEP Gianluca Bucano, sorry about that, wore a Hitler mustache and gave the salute during a debate where the German Chancellor is present. Again, same quote could apply. I'm just not going to do it because my BlackBerry's not very good for audio source. They have been fined $3,380 and are suspended for 10 days, but they can still vote. Obviously, you can't deny them that right to vote because that denies their constituents, which is, well, worse, I'd say. The European Parliament Bureau decided on Monday to confirm the sanctions imposed by the Parliament's president, Martin Schulz, earlier this month, a spokesman said. Mr. Korwin-Mikke was protesting the action against transportation of migrants across the EU. He said, this time it's in Reich, in Volk, in Ticket, and later made a speech referring to migrants as, quote, human garbage. The Italian dude wrote a t-shirt combining the images of Adolf Hitler and Angela Merkel during a debate on the Volkswagen emissions scandal, and a day later gave the Nazi salute with Mrs. Merkel and French President François Hollande present. Both MEPs have been involved in this type of shitposting before. The European Parliament said. The Italian dude tweeted a photograph of himself in European Parliament today on Tuesday saying, "They banned me, but I went in anyway!" Shut up. He was also involved in something earlier dealing with self-defense laws in Italy that I frankly don't really care about. Médecins Sans Frontières, or MSF, said one of its hospitals in northern Yemen had been destroyed by several airstrikes. Jeez, what is it with these people and airstrikes? The first, which occurred around 22:30 or 19:30 GMT on Monday, hit part of a facility in Sada province that was not being used, according to the charity. All staff and patients had been evacuated by the time the second strike hit about 10 minutes later. However, the Saudi-led coalition battling Yemen's Houthi rebel movement denied it had bombed the hospital. Then who else did it? Asked by Reuters news agency if he knew what caused the blast, spokesman Brigadier General Ahmed al-Asiri said, quote, "We cannot tell without investigation." He also previously said this coalition destroyed every fighter jet in Yemen. If that's true, then we know who did it. The conflict in Yemen has left more than 5,600 people dead, including 2,615 civilians, since coalition air campaign began in late March. About two-thirds of civilian deaths were caused by coalition airstrikes and arrests by rebels and their allies, the Office of the UN High Commissioner of Human Rights said on Tuesday. More than 15,000 people wounded in airstrikes and fighting on the ground have been treated in MSF support hospitals in the past 7 months. The charity's hospital in Sada's Haidan district served 200,000 people and was the only life-saving facility in the region, receiving 100 emergency cases a week. An MSF statement said all staff on duty and 2 inpatients managed to escape between the first and second airstrikes on Monday night. The facility's director was slightly injured during the evacuation. After visiting the site on Tuesday morning, MSF project coordinator in Sada, Miriam Chek, said, quote, "I was not able to go inside the facility as we believe the remaining bombs have not exploded, but I can confirm that the facility is 99% destroyed." The facility's director said only the X-ray department and staff room remained. Quote, "It could be a mistake, but the fact of the matter is it's a war crime," U.S. country director Hassan Bouncine told the Reuters news agency. Quote, "There's no reason to target a hospital. We provided the coalition with all of our GPS coordinates about 2 weeks ago," he added. This is the second attack this month on an MSF facility. On October 3rd, the U.S. aircraft bombed a hospital in Afghan city of Kunst, killing at least 22 people. MSF has demanded independent international investigation into bombing, which it says was a war crime. The U.S. has said the hospital was bombed by mistake, and President Barack Obama has apologized. Thankfully, I have a business story up next, so it won't be all doom and gloom. Global pharmacy giant Walgreens Boots Alliance has agreed to buy its U.S.-based rival Rite Aid in a $7.2 billion all-cash deal. If approved by regulators, the deal would see 2 of the biggest U.S. drugstores combined. Walgreens Boots Alliance was recreated when British high street chemist Alliance Boots merged with the U.S. drugstore Walgreens last year. Rite Aid is expected to initially continue operating under its own name. The Pennsylvania-based company, which had been in operation since 1962, saw its shares soar more than 40% on Tuesday after the Wall Street Journal reported that a deal may be in the wings. Walgreens Boots Alliance said Rite Aid shareholders will receive $9 per share under the deal. Both firms said the transaction was expected to be completed halfway through next year. Walgreens Boots Alliance said it expected to finance the transaction, quote, through a combination of existing cash, assumption of existing Rite Aid debt, and issuance of new debt. Today's announcement is, quote, "Today's announcement is another step in Walgreens Boots Alliance's global development and continues our profitable growth strategy," said Chief Executive Stefano Pessina. Rite Aid's Chief Executive John Stanley said the deal will deliver, quote, "significant value to the firm's shareholders." The retail chain has some 4,600 stores across the United States and is the largest drugstore chain on the East Coast. Walgreens Boots Alliance already employs more than 370,000 people and has a presence across some 25 countries. The firm is set to release its fourth quarter results later today. And that ends the news for today, Wednesday, October 28th, 2015. Thank you for listening.
Lakeland Community College. Opportunity starts here. Whether you're beginning college, changing careers, or brushing up skills, classes are offered at times that fit your busy schedule and for thousands less than four-year schools. Then complete your bachelor's degree with one of our university partners at Lakeland's Holden University Center. Still convenient, still affordable, all close to home. Lakeland Community College and the Holden University Center. Stay here, go far. Visit lakelandcc.edu to learn more.
Think spring. The trees may be turning fall colors and the holidays are around the corner. But at Lakeland, it's time to start thinking about spring semester. Spring 2016 registration starts November 2nd, so take the time to look at what classes you need for next semester. When you register early, you can enjoy your holiday break knowing that you're all set for school in January. Plus, you are more likely to get the classes you need at the time you want. Classes begin January 16th, so plan ahead and beat the rush.
Come watch the Lakeland basketball team as they take on Tri-C at Lakeland Community College on January 23rd. The women start at 1 p.m. and the men start at 3. You can listen on www.livestream.com/Lakeland's Lake Effect Radio.
Be sure to watch us live on www.livestream.com/LakeEffect.
Come watch the Lakeland basketball teams as they take on Owens at Lakeland Community College on February 17th. The women start at 5:30 and the men start at 7:30. You can listen on www.livestream.com/Lakeland's Lake Effect Radio.
Hey Lakeland students, pick up the latest issue of the Lakelander student newspaper to stay up to date with what's happening around campus. The Lakelander will keep you informed and entertained with all the latest campus news, music reviews, political commentary, and everything in between.
Lake Effect Radio!
Check us out at Twitter.